Oh, g'day, Keithy here, thanks for joining me. So I have got an EAS air compressor in my hand. Why is that? Well, if you did watch the last video where we went through, diagnosed, repaired, and then I showed you the bypass system, now we're going to get onto the actual air compressor itself. We're going to do a rebuild. Now there's a couple of videos already on YouTube. Some of them are missing a bit of detail. So what I'm going to do in typical Keithy style is try and get you a video now on how to rebuild one of these EAS air compressors for yourself, what bits you'll need, and basically I'll talk you through it. So grab a cup of coffee, guys, and sit down and enjoy the video. Well, we couldn't go without checking this out.
Right, preparing it fires now. Great Keithy here, great Keithy here, great Keithy here.
Oh, you know what? I wish I had something that could keep my beer nice and cool. Whoa, check that bad boy out. It's a chilling with Keithy stubby cooler. Well, I'll be buggered. But you know what? This is more than just a stubby cooler. Because if you don't like beer, you can put your water or your coffee or something else in there. How's that? Oh, wowee, I'm impressed. And if you're impressed as well and you want one of the chilling with Keithy stubby coolers for 20 Australian dollars, that includes postage, I'll send you one of these bad boys to your door. I'll give you the details down below, $20, including the cost of getting it down to you or up if you're up north of me. Chilling with Keithy stubby cooler coming your way. There's the link right there. Woohoo! All right, here we are in the workshop again. I have got two EAS air compressors if you haven't already noticed. Why have I got two? Well, I have two spares and obviously they both need some kind of repair. Otherwise I would already be using them. I don't sort of just keep them spare and not use them. So I'm going to go through both of these and do the rebuild. I have got the rebuild kit for both of them right here. Although they are from different manufacturers, they are the same kit. They both have the basic piston seal, O-rings, and the little cup that goes inside. So all of the stuff that you need is there. Some of the rebuild kits you'll find even have little soft rubbery things. I don't know what they're for, soft plasticky things. I don't know what they're for. There's no explanation on the websites or anything like that as to what they do. And there's nothing in here that also has any requirement for little plastic bits, so that is beyond me why they're even there. Anyway, I'm going to go through and do both of these. I'll do this compressor here, so I will do this one in the side as I go through this, just because I can. I've got two rebuild kits, I might as well rebuild two air compressors, and we'll talk you through generally what is required to do the job. So the first thing we're going to need is a set of Allen keys. I have the two out that we're going to need to do this. Now, because they're imperial sizes, I don't remember them exactly. So the small one is 1/8, and the next size up is 5/32. So that's the two sizes of Allen keys that you're going to need to do this job. And then also a Torx key. This is a T25 that will fit in. That gets off these little external nutty screwy things on the top. You could also just use a little tiny shifter if you want, because it has got the spot there, or an Allen key, not an Allen key, a ratchet. If you've got the right size there, that will also get it off. I like to use Torx keys where I can because they're actually quite secure. When you get them in, they're really good to use. So those are the tools that we're going to need to do this job. Let's get this one started. I'll move this one out of the way and we'll work just on this one here. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is remove the head, if you'd like to call it that. So this is the T25, you're going to need to do that. Keep in mind, I don't actually know what is entirely wrong with this compressor. If anything, it almost looks brand new, so it must have been something pretty critical for me to remove it from the Range Rover. I do like to put the little bits upside down and over here, that way they are where they should be. Now I can see there's a rather dusty in here, so I'd say there's just an O-ring that's gone on here. Looking in at the piston, I can't really see any damage, but I can see that the piston is on the piss, and in fact it's loose. It's come loose somehow, so that's not very good. perhaps there was an issue in there that we might be able to see when we take the side off. Okay, so it's kind of scary. I don't know if you can see there. See how loose that is? That's moving around. So something inside over here has actually broken. So now I'm going to take the cover off, and then we're going to pull this piston out and see what's going on. Maybe something wasn't done up right to begin with. Keep in mind, I bought this as a brand new, it's a Dunlop branded EAS air compressor, so that's not very good to see that. All of that looks okay. This here is already loose. Now that should not be loose. I can pull that out already without even going into the side and undoing any of the nuts. So that was perhaps something that went wrong when they put this thing together. We'll have to continue on and see. So now I'll actually undo the Allen key. Not that it really matters now, because I can just simply remove the piston. There you go, without even undoing the Allen key on the side and the Allen key in the little piston there. So we're going to have a bit of a look at that. Actually, might do that right now. So remember those two sizes? This is the smaller of the Allen key sizes that I was telling you about. I can't even fit that in there. So what's going on? Oh, there we go. No, that's tight. I'm not kidding there. It's tight. Something seriously went wrong inside this little setup. But what? Okay, you see here I have got the Allen key in, ready to move it. I will say I just had a bit of a go off camera to try and open this little Allen key, and I'm using a tool here as well, and it is on there super tight. I have never in my entire life rebuilt one of these EAS compressors and had that tight. So this might be a manufacturing issue. Maybe the apprentice did all the work. It actually, if I'm honest, it looks like this little screw might have even gone in on the piss. So yeah, fingers crossed I can actually get it out without any damage. Wow, that was in there, super tight. Super tight. You can see the shavings of metal that it brought out with it as well. So I think the apprentice might have made this one and I got an apprentice one. I don't like that, but anyway, everything in here looks okay. If you can see in there, it's a little bit dirty, yes, but it doesn't look like it's been damaged. Nothing is loose, so it's all in there still. Up the top here also looks pretty good. Other than needing a cleanup, that looks all right. So we'll focus now on doing all of this stuff here, and we'll have a bit of a closer look at this piston and see exactly what went wrong. You can see there's quite a lot of dirt in there, so there might be more than the eye can see. So before I get into it again, you can see that there doesn't look to be any damage, just a lot of dirt. So maybe the air filter had failed for some reason, but it doesn't look very old at all. The piston itself looks pretty good. Doesn't look like there's any damage, but I did run it through the cylinder bore a couple of times, and it's definitely worn. So there are a number of ways that you can get this old seal off. Stanley knife, something like that will do the job. So let's see how we go. I'll try using this fella here. So what we want to do is basically just cut around here, and then we can get tools underneath and sort of just prise the ring up. Now you'll notice on this ring too, it's sitting just below. So it's not flush with the top of the piston, it's just below. So when you do the reinstall, that's very important to see. Try and keep the knife away from you as well, so that if you do drop it like that, you don't hurt yourself. Because knives hurt. Ask me how I know. It's a very sharp knife, which is also very helpful. You can see it's basically coming off there now, which is good. Some people make this job look difficult. I am one of those people. but it just peels off, revealing the little piston. So we'll get him all just nicely chiseled off there. Keep him in mind, we don't want to damage anything here, so as gentle as we can obviously would be ideal. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now the fun part is we've got to try and prise this up gently so that we don't do any damage to any of the stuff here. I'm going to use a variety of screwdrivers, so I'm going to start small and then work my way up to the bigger screwdrivers for this job. Doing the screwdriver method, I like to go around with the screwdriver and just a little one and prise it a little bit from different spots. Alright, so we're at the stage now where I've just cleaned up around the edge here, and I can get this little screwdriver underneath and we can just lift off our little ring. Just nice and gently get him in there and give him a little bit of a nudgy nudge. If you're only going to use one like me, because I don't have a vise, just go around, give him a little nudge, move along, give him another little nudge, move along. Sometimes this little thing can be a lot of fun, and we'll just keep going around and around and around. You might not seem or feel like you're getting anywhere, but you believe it or not, you will be. After you've done it a few times with the little one, move up a size if it'll fit and keep going. So you can see it's starting to lift noticeably there now, and that's what we want. You just have to go down steady, and you'll get there. Good things take time, don't they? That's the saying. So you can see it's come up above the lip there now. And you can hurt yourself doing this. FYI. You can see it's further away now. Good things take time. This one is obviously taking a bit to get. Once it starts moving, it moves pretty rapidly. There we go. Virtually off now. There we go. Shiny side down. So I'm going to do it the same when I put it up here. Now we'll give this a bit of a clean up here. So we'll remove this. It actually looks pretty good because this compressor is not all that old. So the damage must have been that loose little nut, unfortunately, which I guess in this case is good. I still haven't got that nut out, so I'm going to do that now. So the seal actually came off this one very easily. Yay for that. I've put the other end of it up here. I probably will use the one that came off the other piston anyway. So that's what it looks like. I'm just going to go around now. I've sprayed a little bit of WD-40 on it. I'll just give it a quick scrape, make sure everything looks all good, nice and flat, and then we can put the new seal on it and put it back in after we've cleaned up all of the internals. Now if you have a look underneath, you'll notice that there's a tiny little lip on the seal. So what we're going to do is we're going to definitely make sure that where that little seal goes in here is also nice and clean. Voila, nice and clean. Time to put A and B back together. So we'll simply just gently put on the seal there. I've got a 22mm socket here that fits perfectly. If I remove this, that fits perfectly over the top. 22mm. Just for those playing at home. So we'll get that and not destroy it in the process, fingers crossed. And I guess given that this is a different piston setup, or different piston I should say, to the one that came out of the compressor, I'm going to use the piston that came out as well. Although it does look like it's had a little bit of a scar, so it's probably been rebuilt in the past. I might go with this one. I think it's going to be a better option here. All right, let's get this seal home. Helps if you use a hammer. Only very lightly tapping, okay, it's almost completely home. Just this side here now. Just a tiny bit more. There we go, looking good. Now that's all done. I'm going to get in here and just give the insides a little bit of a clean up. This one is in really good condition. I'm gonna add, it's just a little bit dusty, so we'll make sure it looks nice and clean and make sure that everything is legit. So you'll see when you go in here, there's a flat side. You want to have the flat side pointing to the hole that you've got to put these screws through, and that way it will make sure that it grabs when the compressor is running. Now that's all nice and clean in there. Everything's looking good through here. I just got to give this a little bit of a wipe and then we'll put it all back together. Okay, now when it comes to putting the little piston back in, the seal, you need to make sure that you put it in nice and steady so it's easy to go in from a diagonal and then around and on. It should go on reasonably easy. You shouldn't have to fight it. What I find good is to give it a little bit of a twist as you go in and down, and it's also good to have the piston up as high as you can get it. It also gives you a little tiny bit more room up the top. So I'll show you here how I do it. So in at diagonal, give it a little twist like this. You see it's just slid on there nicely, and then you can just sort of move him side to side a little bit until you have it sitting up right and in the correct position to go down into where it has to sit. So you've got to make sure that it goes and sits at home properly as well. As you see there, that is now sitting at home in there. So we can just clean this up here, give it a wipe down, put the new seals on, and then we can put all the top back together. One last thing before we go any further with this, we've got to remember we have a screw that needs to go in there, so I'll put that one in as well. Next cab off the rank, we've got to clean this up. You can see it's a little bit dirty, so we'll clean it up. Then we'll unscrew this bad boy here, replace the little O-ring which is down in here, and then put him back together. Very simply. You can see that was exposed to Mother Nature a little bit there, so we'll give him a tiny scrub. Personally, I don't mind using a little bit of WD-40 when I'm wiping all of this stuff down. It doesn't hurt. WD-40 is a good lubricant and cleaner, and it's not going to prevent this from sealing or from doing what it has to do. It's very important to make sure that you clean inside where O-rings and whatnot are meant to go as well. That's that side. This side here isn't too bad, so we're not going to worry too much about that. As you can see, the O-ring, the seal is still on there, which is good. So we'll take that out, replace the O-ring, take this off, see how that's all looking, and be done with it. It's a good idea to remember the order that these go into as well. That way you don't forget. when you're putting it back together. So you can see the little O-ring in there. We'll get him out, put a new one in, and that is good. Just like that. Again, little tiny clean in there, and we put the new one in. Okay, so that's all cleaned up. Now I'll get in here and we'll put this new little O-ring in. Just like that. So it already had some kind of lubricant on it, so I didn't add anything to it. We'll go around the other side here, clean all this up, and then we can put it all back on. So you can see the underside here. So we've done the top, put it all back in together. Just going to clean this here as well. Won't take much, a little bit of WD-40 just to try and get that little gunk there off, because that will create a leak if we don't get rid of the gunk there. And also on the little reed valve itself, you can see there's a fair bit of stuff on the bottom of that, so we'll have to clean that up before we put it all back together. And that's like new, so it's time to go back in. Just like that. New O-ring on, and then we'll join the two together. Just like that. Just watch as you're putting it down to make sure that your O-ring stays in. You can see that it's in there now and it looks good. In she goes, and you will feel, if you give it a little bit of a wobble, it will get into a position where it feels like it's home, which it has there now for me. Now that that's done, I'm going to quickly clean up the top. We can put it on and then put our nuts and bolts back in. And you can see, if you look here, the imprint, which looks similar to the top there, so it sort of gives you a guide on how to put this back on. Just like that. We'll get a couple of these little bolts home. And then I'll nip them all up. Right, I'll just screw those ones up. We know that that's nice and firm down there and underneath as well. So once we've done that, it's a matter of putting the cover back on at the front, which we will do. Just firm. There we go. Back onto the front end now. Now it's very important that you get this seal on as well without kinking it at all, otherwise it won't seal. That's why it is a seal. Got to remember too that it doesn't need to go on extremely super duper 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 tight. just firm, because it is a rubber seal, it's not metal to metal. And we'll just give them one last nip. Firm, 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 just like that. All right guys, so there we have it. We've done a rebuild on not one, but 2 compressors. So we've done pretty good to get through all of that kind of stuff. Now, I know it was a very long video, guys. I try to keep it as short as I can, but I like to also give you as much information as I can to try and help you guys. So if you haven't done this before and you want to see from start to finish exactly how I did an EAS compressor rebuild, that's what I've tried to aim to do here. So I hope that I've helped you in your quest to rebuild an air compressor. Now that's been a lot of fun. I think that maybe the next step from here would be testing them out to see how they actually perform, especially against the one that's already in there. So we can do that. Maybe I'll knock that up for the next video. Don't forget to subscribe as well, guys, and do all the usual stuff that happens there, and I'll catch you next time.